we have reviewed many of the learning outcomes for this module, and now it's time to get into it and do it. So you'll notice in the Blackboard screen, you'll need to expand the 2.1 assignment folder. And so there's additional information here and the complementary video that goes with it. So when you're ready to go ahead, and if you haven't done this already, you can click into this, and after you watch the video, and here's actually an access artifact sample. So you have an example to go by. And then if we're looking at the second assignment, 2.2, it has to do with building an iteration in Excel with kinetic energy. And there's a video, very handy video, that walks through the same steps we did in class. It was recorded last year instead of this year, but there's a PDF that explains how and what you're supposed to do. So you need to read that PDF first, but then I provide you with a sample template in Excel and a template in Word that gets you started. So essentially, if you're wondering, how do I set this up and what do I do? And I just thought I would keep this simple and keep it easy. So this explains what you receive credit for, and this gets you started. And this video shows you how. And it's a step-by-step video. It's different than the reviews we've had in class, where we're talking about the concepts of iteration and how you can use those in different contexts. This is exclusively about the assignment. Any questions about 2.1 or 2.2?
Yeah, how were we supposed to turn in 2.1? Because I didn't see anywhere where we could have sent the image.
Yes, that's what we just walked through a minute ago. So there's where you can submit it. This is the assignment option that we just added above the video that you can watch. Okay.
All right, my bad.
No, it's all right. It's fine. I'm glad you asked. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page, and it's good when everybody's on the same page.
It's validate access to access, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I think I found it.
Yes. And yeah,
yes. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have a question. When I was trying to earlier today, around early this afternoon, I was trying to download the thing for Microsoft, like in the video that you were just showing. I was trying to download it, and then when I went to go in and it was showing me the key, it said that this thing may not be compatible with my system or something like that. And at the time, I believe it's still downloading. So if it's truly not compatible and I can't use it, is there any other way I could get access to my computer?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. And as soon as we finish reviewing the last assignment, what I'm going to do is use the rest of the session to help people get started with all of this. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to use this.
Okay. And I'm on a Mac, by the way.
That's fine. That's perfect. We're gonna get it done. So stand by. Let me share this one thing also about 2.3. So notice that all of these are due by 3 p.m. this next Tuesday, right? So we've been showing and sharing a great bit about how all of these resources work, but it's actually, as I said, ideal right now, while it's fresh, to get your hands in it and get dirty. So here's the basic information and where you click to submit after you've performed the different steps. And you're going to be capturing different screenshots along the way as you perform the tasks for this solution.
Which folder section was the YouTube video in, please?
It's in here.
2.3, hold on, let me find it.
So you go into the working data, right, working with data, right? Module 2, and you go inside the header. And then it's this folder. Inside the folder, here's the assignment you can click into to submit your screenshots. And here's what you open up to walk through each of the sections, right? Everybody see this?
Yes, I found them.
Okay, so there's more than one artifact you have to capture. There's more than one artifact that you must capture on your file. So there's 7 points that you're logging for this, 7 things that you need to do and to submit once they're completed. And it tells you in these videos where each of those are. Let me see if there's another document inside here. If there's an extra document. Yeah, so there's also a file called Linux Essentials. And I'm going to go ahead and put a PDF of this. So one of the things you'll notice, and I've heard this from students in previous student evaluations of instruction, right, is that, oh, the videos are great, but it would be nice if we could have different versions or resolutions of those. Well, that's really tough to do because I don't know how many different devices I'm dealing with. But I also can provide screenshots, high definition, high resolution screenshots of the kinds of things that you have to turn in for each task. And I'm going to go ahead and save this as a PDF. And then I'm going to add this to the assignment so that you have an additional reference. Sometimes when you're following along with the video and you're on your own screen, it just gets a little crazy. So it might be good to include this. So we'll just add this file. Oh, come on now. There we go. So now we have this in here. Let me show you what it does for us. This extra file will show, it gives you an example of every single thing you should have. Now, I do want to point this out. Everybody understands that this shows my name here, right? So as you're walking through the steps, you're using your name instead of my name. Hello? It would be bad if you turned in like artifacts that had my name on them, because what would that mean? Well, you're good at cutting the example I gave you. I've actually had students do this and they're like, I don't understand why I didn't get any credit. And I've just had to say, dude. All right, so that's a final screenshot you should paste when you're completing the tasks, right? And then when you're munging data, it shows you, here's the first screenshot you should paste when you finish completing the head and tail tasks. And then there is a final screenshot. So that means for the section 2, you're actually turning in 2 different things, right? Is everybody clear about this?
Yes.
Don't turn in one and then say, I did everything, right? So you watch, what people do is they watch the video, they're in a hurry, and then they get to the place where they're supposed to capture the screenshot and they submit the last one. And they didn't capture the intermediate steps. So I'm just telling you, you know, you gotta have a quiet moment where you can follow along, and when it says, okay, at this point, capture this screen. Now, when you're capturing the screen, I want to emphasize again, it can't be go ahead.
Sorry. So you want us to, so basically what you're saying is you want to make sure that we capture every step and not like just the final product?
What I'm saying is that there are specific criteria we want you to document. That's why we use the term artifact or exhibit. Let's pretend you're in a courtroom, right? And along the way, you're trying to provide evidence that you've walked the process, okay? So we don't want just the final result. That is a correct statement. But there are other intermediate captures that are required. Does that answer your question?
I think I understand. Instead of coming to the final verdict, we need all of the pieces of evidence that will gather everything so that we can conclude that what the final evidence is valid.
Something like that, yeah. Basically, there's more value in the journey and not just the destination. If you wanted to share a little philosophical point about it, some of the steps in between, it's like building blocks. You have to do the other little things first. We have a tendency to want to use the fast forward button and get to the end of it. I know I'm talking to people who binge watch. I'm guilty. I binge watch, right?
I feel kind of personally attacked there, sir.
No,
too.
yeah, I mean, I don't mean that as a personal attack. I'm just keeping it real. So when you get something and you're like, oh man, I don't want to watch 6 seasons to find out what happens at the end. What are we doing? What do we do in Netflix or in Hulu? We zip forward to the end, right? And it's been frustrating for some in previous seasons where they have these handy dandy videos and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish Kentop would just shut up and get on with it, right? And at just the point 10 seconds later where you were supposed to click a little further, oh, this is where you got to capture a screenshot. And now we go on to the next step. And again, it's very tragic. People spend all that time and then they go, why did I only get 3 points out of 7? You know, that's a 40% average for the submission. It's not good, right? So if you follow each step, I will know that it's you that's doing it too, because there'll be these other breadcrumbs. So your analogy about pieces of the puzzle or evidence, yeah, or breadcrumbs, that works. Okay, and that's why I'm including this PDF, so that there's no mistaking. I need the whole enchilada, please. I even I wonder if I should like bold this. Here is the final screenshot, which tends to imply, wait a minute, there are screenshots before this, right? Here is the first screenshot. So there's 2 submissions for section 3, just like section 2. And in section 4, there's one about network connectivity. And the second screenshot, you should paste in when you finish protecting your virtual machine while connected. And then here's the last screenshot you should paste when you finish part 2 of this section. Okay, any questions about the solution? Going once. Going twice. Oh, so I wanted to share with you. In VirtualBox, when you are capturing the screenshot, one thing you want to do before you start with the Linux CLI exercise, your solution you do not want to proceed before you do not want to proceed with your virtual machine until you finish updating it. So we were going to talk about that for a minute. Yes?
Okay.
If we hadn't already, you have a virtual machine that's running inside your system here. And what you need to do is make sure that your VirtualBox manager, or the hypervisor, as it's called, right? The application that's running on your laptop. So there's different types of virtual machine environments. The one we're using is practical, but this is actually what we refer to as the VirtualBox management application, because inside this screen, we can run more than one virtual machine. We also want to check for updates, because a lot of times the automated updates don't run. Over the week, since last week, there's a new version that's out. So when you look on your screen, it should be 6.1.38 instead of 3.6. That's very important. More to the point, when that updates, your extensions will update also. When we say extensions, we are talking about this extra piece here. So first, the version of the VirtualBox application updates, but then this also updates. And this is critical because this extension pack provides the juice for your virtual machine to also update. So what am I saying? We got to update the host environment first, and then we have to update the pieces that connect your virtual machine to your host machine. And you do that by downloading from VirtualBox the new version of the extension pack that matches the one that loads when you prompt for updates. The VirtualBox environment and the extensions have to match. Now, once that's in place, you go to your machine after it's started and you go to devices. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
You insert the guest additions disk. It's a virtual disk, but it works just like a physical disk, like a DVD disk or a CD. When you do this, it's going to pop something into play here, and a screen will, it's not going to show error on, well, all right, so it's showing an error here because I've done this before, but basically it's right here. So what happens if you get that error? Look down here and you'll see the disk is already in place. Now, you'll notice that there are different flavors of updates, right? And what we're looking for is the one that ends with an SH. So I'm going to double click this thing. And it's going to open up. And no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to run it. So I should be able to run this. And once you run this script, it's going to update the hardware components for your virtual machine. So if you select this auto run SH and then you click run software, gosh, I need another cup of coffee. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking for that. It's like, where is this? It's up here. So sometimes they move your cheese. That's a book. Who Moved My Cheese? It's when features and functions are moved in a new version. It's a great read. 6.1.38, right? So I'm going to run this. And what that's going to do is it's going to ask you what your password is. It's the same password that you use to log in. And when you authenticate that, it's going to go ahead and load the guest additions updates of the VirtualBox extensions. So on the host side, the extensions post in here, and then inside your virtual machine, you got to insert the disk. And if it's already running down here, you run that software and it's going to update the components of your virtual machine. Now, why do you care? Some of you have been sharing that when you run updates using a different, I'm going to open up a new terminal here. Inside your PG Book terminal, you need to run a command. We've shown this in class before, I believe. It's called apt-get. Is this ringing a bell?
Yes.
So what you want to do is put in your password after you enter the command. You can use sudo and space and then do the command, and it'll prompt you for your password every time. But you might end up doing a lot of this kind of stuff, so it tends to be easier if you just go to the pound prompt. I'm going to type in apt-get update first, and then 2 ampersands, and then apt-get.
Mr. Gentile, sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
You type in apt-get update, and then 2 ampersands, and then apt-get upgrade. And that executes this command first and the next command next. Now, some of you have been getting this cryptic message about the dependencies. You can't find them. If you read lower, it tells you what other option with apt-get you use to push through this. And if you've done this recently, what you should get is 0, 0, and 0 at the end. Right? Can everybody else see this right here?
Yes, sir. apt-get -get-f install.
Uh-huh. So it says try using -f. And so some of you haven't been getting the updates like you're supposed to. And what we're going to do is change this command. So we'll enter apt-get -f upgrade. We've already updated. Let's do it with update first though. Apt-get -f update. Oh, it's not an option for that. Okay, that's easy enough. It is for upgrade. Bit of a difference now, huh? Does everybody see that? So you can't
see more words.
Yeah. So what's happening here is that sometimes when you're trying to update, you'll run into snags, and it's important to kind of read through what the prompts are telling you. And that's one of the challenges of working in the Linux environment with applications development or in a laboratory. You get these things that happen, but you can take the apt-get -f option and use it with other parameters. So you saw that it didn't like update, but I was able to use it with upgrade, and it forced the upgrade, fixed the dependencies. So now it has found upgrades for my software on my machine, and I'm going to answer capital Y for yes. I'm going to open up my screen a little bigger.
Do you mind explaining the difference between update and upgrading?
I don't mind at all. That's a great question. So what you're seeing is that an index ran first. Update takes the catalog of software that's installed on your virtual machine, and it goes out on the internet and it says, hey, let's take inventory. I need the latest inventory list. So we call that a catalog, right? It's going to go out there and it's going to pull down the latest list of versions that are current. Once it has the latest list of current versions, when you run upgrade next, after that, your local machine goes, oh, I see that there's 10 different new versions. And it knows how to go after those new versions because the list of current versions was updated prior to the upgrade. There's a dependency there. If you don't update the catalog first, you run upgrade and all you ever get is, a lot of people go apt-get upgrade, apt-get upgrade, apt-get upgrade. And they do this for like 3 months. And then their stuff isn't working with their research or in the laboratory or wherever. They're doing hacking stuff in cybersecurity. It's just not working and they feel stupid. And it's a simple gap, and it's a very common gap. Does that answer your question?
So basically you would say it's like updating and then installing.
Correct. It's a two-step process instead of what we do in Windows. In Windows, we just do this. We just go here, and then we go to updates, and Windows does the first step for us automatically. It goes out and see how it's searching? It's like, okay, what you have these versions, what's the latest versions? And then it tells you this stuff. Now, whenever you see something like a cumulative update or worse, a feature update, you definitely want to download those because with feature updates, they're actually replacing the entire operating system. The kernel of the operating system is removed in its entirety with a forklift. And the next version is put in place. And Windows started doing that not long after Apple started doing it for the Macs. Every year, Apple would come out with a new kernel, a new version of their operating system, and they give it away free. And that's what Microsoft is doing when they give out a feature release or a feature update. Now, cumulative updates are a collection of updates altogether. So it pre-packages all of the version differences, and then you say, okay, download it and install. So yes, what you said is correct. Quite a difference I'm getting here, isn't it? I mean, just look at this thing. It's just going and going and going. Kind of makes you wonder, okay, and why didn't that work before? I don't know. It could be that I didn't have what? Didn't have this software, didn't have the guest editions software to update the components, the hardware, the virtual hardware components of my virtual machine. So there are these dependencies. You want to make sure that you get the drivers. So we have hardware drivers on a computer system that make the digital components of the hardware work properly. I showed you this view before, didn't I? Or we went in here and, no, I'm sorry. I showed you the device manager. You've seen this? Yeah, maybe?
Yes, I believe so. Went into the main driver.
Yeah, you highlight this computer or my computer and you right click and go to manage, and eventually it'll open up this. and then you go to Device Manager. But when you're running updates, sometimes those updates are very specific to a given hardware component. So when you're working, you know, research solutions in a laboratory and your junk isn't working right, sometimes it's a piece of the hardware that's changed. Or more importantly, the driver, the software component of the hardware that makes it work better. All of these are virtual versions of the hardware that's on this laptop. And there are pieces of operating system software called device drivers that make the magic happen, so that when we're running software off of a disk drive on my ThinkPad or on your MacBook or on an iPad or on an Android, it virtualizes those disk drives so that the software can speak a common language to a generic disk instead of a very specific model and brand of disk. That's what operating systems do. They virtualize things. By the same token, when you're working with virtual machines, there are physical components of the virtual machine, right? You have virtual hard disks, virtual network cards, virtual display adapters, and all of those. I'm going to eject this because I don't want this on the screen anymore. And it's sluggish as the updates are loading. So here's a view of the virtual hardware components that the PG Book machine installed automatically when you imported the appliance, right? And that's what those drivers, so the guest editions disk are drivers for those hardware components, even though they're virtual hardware components. Once those are done correctly, then other things, other magic can happen, right? Things start working like they're supposed to. So we see this kind of thing. Oh, it says it's the volume's busy. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is. Let's look at any other questions about what we're doing here with our virtual machine. I did want to show you how to take a snapshot of your virtual machine. So if I go to the skinny button here and I show my virtual machine, oh, come on. Wow. Well, I'm really maxing out my virtual machine. Let me
Does
see
it
if I,
not want to work because of the space?
well, I have two machines running now. And that's, so I'm gonna have to close some, applications. And
Isn't that like overworking it? You know, because you have a lot of applications running along with two virtual machines, kind of like
Yeah, that
slowing down
seems
the
like a lot.
processor.
yeah, I'm maxing it out. I'm definitely pushing the limits on this. And it'll be interesting to see if I can actually like capture the video without a lot of gaps, because we're also capturing, all right, that's good. So I don't have to worry about that. I can close that. I wanted to see if, yeah, I do want to save it. I'll close this. I was doing some video editing. And for those of you that are crazy about your web browsers, if you have 57 tabs in your web browser, that has the same effect. So just as a sanity factor, you might want to work with that. Now, what happens if you get something that's ill-behaved that doesn't want to go away? You can right-click, use your right mouse button, and it'll pull up a menu at some point. Yeah, I want to end the process. At some point, it'll pull up a task manager. And when it pulls up that task manager, you can force the other options to quit. Okay, so one by one, I can close these, and then I'll get a better view. Should start responding. It's going to prove me wrong. You probably wondered if the same kind of stuff that happens to you happens to me, right? Because you go home and you do this and you're like, it looks so simple in the video. Why isn't my machine doing this? And what you're witnessing is the same dynamic with resources. So that's why we had you do the optimizing your personal technology. Everybody remembers that, right?
Yeah, I remember.
So I'm going to close my browser yet. Here's a cool thing. You can actually close the virtual management window. You don't have to have VirtualBox running in order for your virtual machines to run. And I wanted to finish this. Yeah, that's another thing that's taking up a lot of memory. So when you right click here, you can engage Task Manager and then select an application that isn't closing and then close it. So in just a moment, you'll see this thing come up. And I'm going to select these notepad references to just shut those down because they're being stubborn. Obviously, the virtual machines are working hard. I don't see my notepad listed. There it is. I'm going to close this, right click it and end the task. And that'll shut this. I don't want to save it. No. So that kind of helps. You can get extra help to close something that's ill-behaved and eventually save your work. Now, what do you do if things start crashing on your system to save where you're at? You can put your system to sleep. Now I've waited until this is finished and I have a pound prompt back. So I'm going to exit this and exit it again. I'll eject this now and it shouldn't be a problem. Eject anyway. Let's get that out of here. Let's pretend that I want to capture this screenshot on my virtual machine. If I press my PRT-SC button, I'm going to get a window that pops up that wants to save the picture inside my virtual machine. Well, I don't want to do that because then I have to figure out a way to get my picture out of the virtual machine. I can email it to myself by going to the web in Gmail, but that's a pain in the neck. Or I can change the configuration of my virtual machine so I can use thumb drives. So I can copy a file out of the virtual machine into a thumb drive and then park it over here. Or I can change the settings of the machine to allow for drag and drop shared folders, but that can be precarious because my virtual machine, if it goes weird or crashes, it can bring down my host, or hackers can get in on one side from the guest to the host and the host to the guest. So that's not the best example. So what do? What are you supposed to do? Well, what I want you to do is to get the screenshot you want on PG Book. And you'll notice that when you perform these activities that you're going to want to enlarge your screen and then widen the terminal window so that it all displays neat, or it won't look like the video at all. But on the side, you should be able to click into your desktop and then press the PRTSC button. At that point, just open up a Word document and paste it, or open up Paint and paste it. And then from there, you can crop this thing. So you basically go to your home view and then do like this. Okay. So I crop that and I can paste it into my Word document. If I open up Word, that's the easy way to do it. Now you can use the snipping tool. Everybody has their own favorite way of doing things. But if you get free stuff on the internet and you're not careful, nothing's free. You can pick up a lot of trouble. One thing I like to do is to change the layout. The layout. If I'm pasting a screen that's wide, one thing I like to do is change the layout for the orientation to landscape mode. And then when I paste it, well, it's not all scrunchy. So when I view this thing, see, it's nice and you can tell what's on the screen. It's not all smudgy and blurred and all that kind of stuff. All the detail is there. If you paste it into a Word document where the layout is portrait, well, weird things happen. Everybody understand what I'm saying?
Well, when you mean like it makes it look better?
Yes, it makes it look better.
Okay.
It's easier in the long run. It seems like extra steps, but it makes it look better. And remember that your undo option is your best friend. So Control Z undoes it.
Could you show how to do it one more time for clarity's sake?
Say again?
Could you show how to do it one more time for clarity's sake?
Well, that's why we're recording, but I'll do it again real quick.
Thank you.
So what I'm doing is starting with a new Word document, and here I have my screenshot, and I'm going to go to the home menu and use the selection tool by clicking that dotted line, and I'm going to make a dotted line around it, and I'm going to cut it, or I use Control X. That takes it out of here. I open up my Word document. I change the layout to landscape, and then I paste it. And here we go. Hello.
Thank you.
Yep, there you go. So that really helps when you're trying to work through the exercise. A lot of folks get frustrated. Now, what about the folks who are on Macs and they want to set up Microsoft Office? That was a question that someone asked a moment ago, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is shift a gear. And does anyone have any more questions about the PG book environment?
So for me, I have the Raspberry Pi and I can take a screenshot and it saves directly to the Raspberry Pi. Can I
Yep.
send it via like an attachment?
Yes, you can.
I don't have to use Microsoft Word, right?
No, you don't.
Okay, cool.
That's a great question. And I'm excited that you're using the Raspberry Pi. So, but there are going to be some minor differences, and whenever you encounter those, don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to put this virtual box environment aside for a minute. So I basically I don't want to shut it down. but I want to pause what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and under the machine menu, I'm going to pause it. And what that's going to do is just capture where I am, where I don't lose my place. Why am I telling you this? You may get to a point where things are awkward on your personal machine, your laptop, and it's slow and it seems like it's going to crash. And I would pause your machine. Another thing you can do is go to close it and save the machine state. That's the other option. So you pause the machine and then save the state. And what it's going to do is capture everything that's in process. And that's the cool part of a virtual machine. You don't lose any of your work. You just park the thing and you hit the pause button. And then after you reboot your laptop, you just open it up where you were and you keep on going.